Yo, it's Lefty. So it is Lomachenko and Haney fight weekend, and we're gonna release multiple videos out this week, just to basically cover this event. This is gonna be the next biggest event until we see Spence versus Bud Crawford, supposedly, if the fight ever happens. So this seems to be the last major event of the summer if Crawford and Spence doesn't happen this summer. So let's get into it. So Haney is 24 years old. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got the size. He's been at 135 his whole career. Lomachenko, he's 35 years old. He's giving up height, reach, youth, strength. I believe everything but skill. And he's got the southpaw stance though. And we'll see what happens. I mean, he's fought by and large the much better competition. By and large, the much better competition. But he's also coming up, in his mid-30s, up from 126 to 130 and now 135. He's been documented as saying that he walks around 138, 139. So likely he's probably had to do what Pacquiao did later on in his career and eat just to keep his weight up. Like if you're a pro athlete training hard, you're going to lose 2-3 pounds in sweat a day at minimum. So anyhow, one major thread in this fight is that aside from the physical advantages and disadvantages, they have a common opponent. That common opponent is, what the hell is a common opponent? Linares. Jeez, why did I almost think Larios? Anyway, Linares, right? Linares, he was in much better form when Lomachenko fought him. He also knocked Lomachenko down. I want to say he buzzed Haney pretty bad, if not knocked him down just straight out. And Lomachenko, I want to say, got knocked down in round 6 and came back to win by knockout or TKO in round 10. And he looked impressive in that fight. However, it did outline one of a couple, 2-3 deficiencies in Lomachenko's game right now. So this is just off the top of my head. I'm not going to get into too much detail. I'm going to release another video with even more detail and what I'm seeing. And for the parlay that's coming out, right? For the parlay we're going to do, we're 26-5 right now. We went 4-1 last week. And if you did what I mentioned that you should and left the underdog as a separate bet, heads up, then you most likely did not lose any money. You probably gained money. So I hope you did that. And Patricia Morris-Jarman is garbage. Hot, flaming garbage. 8-2 in that fight when it could have been a draw or 6-4 either way. And you're seeing 8-2, you're not even giving the kid a chance. And she does this time after time. But I digress. So, Lomachenko, in his fight with Teofimo, supposedly had a hurt shoulder. He had shoulder surgery after the fight, and he didn't get active until the last 4 or 5 rounds. Okay? Teofimo wasn't reacting to his feints as much as other fighters have, so Lomachenko didn't get respect until too late in the fight. He needed to sit down on something. Also, Teofimo's huge. I believe he was walking around at $170 before that fight. So Lomachenko, if he's walking around 138, 139, and this dude is over here at 170 in between fights, those are drastically, that's just a whole different type of fighter, especially if he's got skill. So Aside from that, one thing that Lomachenko can do is at times, it's not very often, but he could come straight in if he's not careful, and he could get hit with right hands on his way in. That hasn't happened that much to him. It darn sure hasn't happened to him as much as other fighters, but he's been put on the canvas because of it, and that was him much closer to his prime than he is now. So he's got to be at angles. He's got to mix things up. One thing that Haney has carried over from his from early in his career is that whether he's going forward or going backward, when he throws that right hand, that lead hand is down. And I feel like I say this all the time. Now, he might get away with it in this fight because Lomachenko isn't a big guy, but once he goes up to 140 and possibly 147 one day, if he carries that lead hand down, he's going to feel like he should be safe at distances that he's not. And that happens when you fight taller, longer guys that carry their power up, right? I believe I said the same thing about Caleb Plant. Once your legs go and you still have that bad hand placement, you're going to catch shots. And that's the same thing that happened with a fight at the 130-pound division, I believe. That was like one of the first fights that I predicted when I started this again after like 4 or 5 years of being away, right? It was on Showtime. It was last name Foster, and last name was Vargas for the guy that had bad hand placement or whatever, right? So that's obviously one of the main things that I look for. But it might not affect Haney right now. But if it does, it's going to be off of Lomachenko slipping right out of the southpaw stance with his right foot forward. He's going to slip right and come inside with the right hook, with the right hook. And then we'll see what that does to Haney, right? Because Lomachenko's now had 2 operations done on his shoulder, I believe, right? So we'll see how that affects Haney, if Lomachenko can make that a factor. And Haney has been having problems with this weight for a while. I believe in his 3rd pro fight, he had to sweat out the last 2 or 3 pounds right before the fight. He's vulnerable to overhand rights from orthodox fighters or, right hooks on the angle for the southpaw, which is what I just said. And he's a shuffle back guy. I don't know, he's got to have been better at pivoting by now, right? And it's going to be interesting to see which way he circles in this fight. Is he going to circle into Lomachenko's left hand, or is he going to try to battle foot position and circle into Lomachenko's right hand, the side that's been operated on twice, but with that lead hand down, that gives Lomachenko an even bigger angle, right, to land that shot. So I want to see which way he's going to circle, and I want to see if Lomachenko could get his respect early. Another big factor in this fight is who are they picking the ref this fight? And how much holding does that ref let Haney do? Because he's going to hold. He's going to try to stall out the time. He does not want to get into wars. He's not that guy. For better or for worse, for as exciting or not as exciting, that's what he does. So if a ref goes in there and is stern on the holding, Lomachenko has an avenue to try to edge out a decision. If the ref does what I think one or both of the refs did in Australia against Kambosos, then it could be a wide decision Haney's way, right? It could be 8-4, 9-3. So the ref and how much holding he allows is basically gonna swing the fight to have Loma to have a chance at a slight decision. But if you're asking me which guy I would pick and who I would bet on, it's the double chance round 7 through 12 / decision on DraftKings. Okay. All you got to do is sweat out the first 6 rounds and you get paid at a better rate than what you would have paid for a Haney, straight up at minus 280 or whatever, right? I believe the double chance is minus 220 or 225. And right now, the odds on the over-under are at minus 800 for 8.5, I believe, which is a lot of juice. So that's not an option for you. And if you go Haney decision, odds are he's not going to knock out Loma, but 12 rounds is a long, long time to sweat something out, right? So that's why I like the double chance here, and then get another fight or two to even up the odds, or maybe even go plus money. And so that's why I'm coming out with my undercard predictions and maybe some other action that's happening Saturday, so that way we could get in that plus money on, a 2, 3, or 4 maybe legger, and see if we can really maximize our value. So stay tuned. Another video is going to be coming out tomorrow. Peace.